Hello, my wonderful students. This is foldable number 1. We're doing the first foldable is going to be 3-1, just as something we didn't touch on, and then the other foldables are going to be 3-2. So this is going to be 3-1. That's my class ring. 3-1 interpreting vertex form, and we're going to find the vertex, the axis of symmetry, which we already did, and then we're going to add the finding the minimum and the maximum, and then finding the domain and range. Alright, so go to number 1. So for the first problem here, we have y is equal to our 3 times our x minus 4 squared minus 2. And we're going to use the form of y is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k to kind of like show what we need to learn. So the first thing is find the vertex. So the vertex is in green. The vertex is going to be equal to, if you guys remember, it's actually our hk. And our h and k are here, which are also here. So it'd be negative h. Well, h is negative 4, so this would actually be positive 4. And our k is negative 2. So our vertex is done. We have our vertex, 4, negative 2. Next, we have our axis of symmetry. And so our axis of symmetry. So our axis of symmetry, or our AOS, I always write it the first time out. Symmetry, or our AOS, is going to be equal to our h here. So this is equal to h. Or h is actually equal to 4. So that means our AOS, our axis of symmetry, is equal to 4. Alright, so now let's go to the maximum or minimum. So if we have our maximum or minimum here, this is going to be determined by a. So if a is greater than 0, then the graph's going to go upwards, and that means we're going to have a minimum. Minimum. But if our a is less than 0, that means the graph is going to go down, and we're going to have a maximum. This is because if it goes up, we have the parabola that goes like this, and that means the lowest point here is going to be our minimum. But if it's going down, the maximum point is going to be right here, is going to be our maximum. So in this case, our a is 3, which is here, and our a is actually greater than 0. Oh, sorry, 3 here. So 3 is greater than 0. That means our graph is going to be going upwards in this upward parabola, so we're going to have a minimum. And the minimum, so just right here, it's going to be up, and it's going to have a minimum. I'm just going to put min for short. But our minimum is actually based on our k. So our k is going to be equal to our minimum. But our k is actually equal to negative 2. So that means our minimum is equal to negative 2. Now we look at our domain and range. So our domain is going to be equal to all real numbers. Alright, so the domain is all real numbers because the x is not restricted by anything, because it could be negative, it can be positive, and it doesn't matter because it's going to be squared, so it's always going to come out positive here. So there's really nothing restricting it. And you can also see, since this was a minimum, that means the graph is going to be going upwards like this. So these eventually all go to all the way to a negative infinity. These eventually always go to positive infinity. But the range is going to be restricted, because the range only works. So remember, the domain is of the x, and the range is of the y. So if this has a maximum or minimum, that means this has to stop at a certain point here. So it cannot go any further down than this here, but it can go up to infinity. So we know this, the range is going to be from the number that's here, and the number that's here, remember, is determined by the k, which is negative 2. So our range is going to be from negative 2 to positive infinity, because since the minimum is negative 2 here, and it stops at this point here, That means it's not going to go any further down than negative 2, but it is going to go all the way to positive infinity because there's no restrictions after that point.